So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. Then we find this time of restoration of the holy cities of the Messiah, laid waste for many centuries, and also the Gentiles then trade being restored. There are some news regarding then Turkey. There are some demonstrations. There are many police forces on the roads. People are becoming much more angry and angrier and angrier. So then we can understand what it means then, the people being informed of the system yet coming. As long as the junkies trying to get together and trying to force the people to do what they do not want, then it's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. People must be informed that there is a system being generated with the kingdom of the east, the kingdom of the north and south. Namely then China is the dragon, kingdom of the east, merely speaking of precision. Then we find obviously the kingdom of the north being the managers, and the South Africa becoming then the raw materials, or what is required to get the initiation of this system and protecting China of the East's interests. As then the world is trying to get these old junkies back in place, slavering the people, civilized slavery, paying very tiny money for the people. People are already absolutely tired of it. And this time the people must get their way. So then as long as people are informed that there is then the system available and being generated via east, north and south, then they understand there is no debt anymore. So then people have a hope of being part of a grandiose system where they can be their own bankers, they can be their own CEOs, and they can be their own investors. But for these, then the old junkies must be gone. This means the Northern Kingdom must take charge of the Chinese management and then work together with the Chinese exclusively. It's the only way to make the system work. The nations of Europe and the European Union, those must be dismantled. It won't work because Daniel the politician said at the end, during the time of the seat, people would try to come together of these nations and they would try to adhere to each other under a system where they thought what God was and then trade at the same time. Never worked. And it won't work. So then the European Union must be then dismantled. Obviously each country his own. Because when they are on their own, then when the system is available, they can do trade via online, via computer. So then the policy of the nations, as per then the instructions of Daniel, you find then in the 12th chapter a section of it, where then people would go to and fro, meaning no holy cities giving directives. So from 1009 to 2009 was the period of the seat. After 2009, then we've entered the time of the dragon, time of precision, where then at the end of the 1,000 years of the seat ended with the high peak of knowledge, where you combine trade with knowledge. There is only an answer: computer trade. And the old junkies must be gone. At some point, the world is going to get very fed up with this system, as it was already then given previously. The European Union, they're going to have their own junkies, and they're going to be wallowing around. Then the northern part of the Americas wallowing around, wallowing around, wallowing around, until those are then dismantled. Meaning then the European Union dismantling themselves, then United States removing its influence from the world's market and giving then space for the yen. It is taking place, liking it or not, because they can evaluate the situation. More and more countries are becoming much more upset. People understand if they subjected themselves to these old junkies, they're going to work as slaves, and they won't do it. But there is then, obviously, the system is spoken of by Daniel. And the BRICS is then the answer. If investors, they want a place of investment, invest in the BRICS. The BRICS is the initiation of the system yet coming in the near future. So the next 36 months, when these time, then BRICS get going with the plan, then shortly after becomes available for the rest of the world. A simple download on their computer or their computers, they can already start investing. If you're not familiar with it, you're probably familiar with eBay and PayPal, for instance. There is a place of trade and a place of payment. The Chinese system is a huge eBay, and then the Bank of China is the huge PayPal. But then you have the privilege of having, on the trade side of it, an icon over there where you can invest. There is no middleman anymore. You are the person investing in the product. If you think this product would get sold for a certain amount for so many thousands of people or countries, then you get a share at the end of the month. So then you're not going to be investing in companies anymore. You're going to be investing in products. Obviously, the companies, they do provide those products. They're going to take your funding and then invest. But you have to be specific. If you like a product and you think a projection because of what is the first investment of the BRICS? Infrastructure. What do you understand of infrastructure? You understand then of mining, you understand of transportation as far as roads, you understand trucks, you understand then areas related with infrastructure, such as housing, such as then electric wires. What is required then to get the infrastructure going? You invest in a particular product, wires for instance, for the home, electric wires. You invest particularly in a specific item you can think of, then it goes to the company and invests for you in the product. As thousands, 10,000s, and 900,000 of those products are sold, depending on how much you invest, you get a tiny share of it. But you don't go into investing only in wires, you're going to invest in other products. People must be taught. This is what's coming in the future. Because Daniel explained the high knowledge, and he was a tradesperson. He was a specific person related with divine guidance of trade. So then when the trade is given, or the stick of authority of trade is given to the Ishmaelites, then we understand because of crude. Very tightly related with transportation. Transportation has to do with the volume of parcels. Parcels you receive when you have trade online. So then the main topic is understanding then China, Soviet Union, someday is going to become a Soviet Union again, but with the new management. Then Africa becoming then raw materials. Africa is yet birthing. So the system is already being generated. And then Europe wallowing around, America wallowing around, Until the world and investors, they realize, boy, they are being caught in a Babylonian system. Never worked. Until the investors, they get a shake up on their faces and say, invest in BRICS. Then they take their money, they invest in BRICS, and then BRICS start picking up. Then later becomes available for the other people. Don't they realize then isn't it enough? Middle East is at war, then you find problems in Syria, problems then was in Libya, problems in Egypt, now problems in Turkey, problems in Israel, problems in Gaza, because of the Babylonian system. God, these leaders of this world, they are becoming stupid. Don't they understand they are under a Babylonian system? Except a few of the countries? And then what is the most important for a country at the moment? Working in a taxation and freighting. Freight. The Messiah said the freighters of the earth, because of trade online, is going to generate volume of freighting. But then these politicians are so born as king. They don't even understand how to put up a fence in their backyard. They never sent a box before. So they don't give a crap. Yet they are enforcing a Babylonian system and it's not working. So let's be watchful. The more we wait, the worse it gets. Until BRICS starts then do what they should be doing. God, leaders of these nations are stupid and know how to read the paper.